Bat Flip Podcast is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of the Bat Flip Podcast. Damian and David here with you. Matt is gone this week. Matt, we don't miss you. I'm just kidding. Matt is busy doing stuff. He was out of town all weekend, so he'll be back next week with us. So you're stuck with just David and I this week. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. We have another extension happen. If they want to just keep pouring in one per week, we'll be just fine with that. We get some MLBPA news that is especially interesting, given the fact that we're heading for a lockout most likely. The Padres are on the verge of being sold, which is something we've heard for the past couple years. Then we have to talk about some of the other news stories with the Mets and other things going on in the world of baseball at the moment. But David, before we get into all that, how are we doing this week?
Doing good. Yeah, it's just one of those weeks where it kind of flew by, and I was like, "Oh, it's podcast day again."
Yeah.
Right. Been watching. The Cubs are winning right now, so you'll get live reactions as this game progresses between the Cubs and the Phillies. So that should be fun. I got it up on the TV back here.
Just say something happens.
Damien's about a pitch and a half ahead of me. So right now it's 3-1 to Dansby Swanson. So obviously whatever happens is about to. It's a good hitters count for him. But how we doing, Damien?
We are doing horrendously down bad, given that my team has lost 2 to the Colorado Rockies this week. That is just not something you typically want to do, but you will get Coors Field things when you travel to Coors Field. So definitely that stuff has happened a little bit.
First of all, Dansby hit a 3-run home run. We'll take that. Second of all, let's start with, before we get into anything, we didn't even put it on here. Dalton Rushing was like, the Rockies are cheating. My reaction to that was, Dalton, they need it. They need help.
That clip was so taken out of context. They did not give his entire thing. Like, they just took the little clip of him saying, like, oh, something's fishy. And then he said, hey, and then, like, right after that, he's like, maybe I'm calling a bad game. He's like, maybe they have a great game plan. Like, that everyone just comes up and swings the first pitch. Like, maybe that's the thing. He's like, I've typically never seen that. That's a little fishy.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. The headline's getting generated there.
Yeah.
I just think personally, if we were gonna like want to go back and figure out, yes, we really want to see if Nico deep fly ball center field, it's not gone. If we want to see like whether that 2017 Astros thing was like actually useful, let's give it to the Colorado Rockies and see if they can't compete on a regular season basis with everybody else. Because if they can, then we'll know that knowing the pitch or whatever is like actually useful. It makes a lot more sense, right? The way you said that Rushing was just calling meatballs down the middle, doing a bad job or something. I don't know. When you have pitch com nowadays, the pitchers can call their own pitches and stuff too. Like
he was kind of saying, obviously Dave Roberts was like, no, I just think it was bad pitches. That it's the initial clip just got taken a little bit out of context when you see the full clip, right? In general, but like it's also Coors and the Rockies, and they just randomly own some team in the division every year, so that happens. All right, let's jump into all of this. Let's start with Kevin McGonigle and the Detroit Tigers agreeing to an 8-year, $150 million extension, $14 million in signing bonus, and some escalators in there. Don't have that exact specifics on those escalators and stuff, but another long-term extension for a top prospect who just made his debut. And because he did it after his debut, they are still open to the PPI pick incentives if he were to win Rookie of the Year or other awards at this moment. So, David, we've talked over the past couple of weeks. We had Colt Emerson, Connor Griffin. Now we're into Kevin McGonigle. It's kind of the same story of what we've kind of been saying, right? These teams trying to lock in these young guys for some cheaper type deals.
Yeah, it's smart, right? You look at the value like a Bobby Witt Jr. contract has brought to the Royals, and that was after a couple of seasons of him being really good in the major leagues. But these deals they're player friendly, right? Don't get that misconstrued. These are player friendly deals, but the team is very, with nowadays we're pretty confident we know what skills are required to make like a star caliber baseball player. And McGonigle gets the biggest cash deal of them all at 150 here. And I think that speaks to how good Kevin McGonigle can be. He's got the contact tools that I think that Griffin lacks. Emerson hasn't proven it at a higher level yet. McGonigle has that, plus the power, plus defensive flexibility and capability at shortstop, second base. He could probably play third if you asked him to. He could probably go play center field if you needed him to. Like, this guy he's a baseball rat. He's going to be an amazing player for the Detroit Tigers. I'm really excited for him to get this deal, and I'm really excited for Tigers fans. Right, this is kind of the last hurrah with Derek Skubal. We doubt that he's going to stick around next season, but this is the type of thing we talked about with Connor Griffin, with Paul Skeens. This is the type of thing that helps in a pitch to a free agent to hey, please stick around. If you just, other than the money, is being able to say, hey, we've got a star level player.
Yeah.
On under team pretty cheap, like to pair with you. So, I think McGonigle's having a great year already. I think he's going to have a great season, be in line for that Rookie of the Year for sure. But overall, I mean, this is a great deal for him, a great deal for the Tigers. There's very little downside, and we'll just get to, I'm going to try to get a McGonigle, shirt when I go to Detroit next, to go see the stadium. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is something we've harped on the Tigers a lot over the past year and a half, especially me, given the fact of, like, will you pay Derek Skubal, will you not, right? I talked about it when they signed Framber, like, that money probably should go to Derek, right? Now you sign one of the guys on the position player side, you help that side out a little bit. You're building a nice core with Kevin McGonigle, Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson looks like he's a guy. Dylan Dingler looks like he, is going to be pretty decent. Like, you need to do this stuff. I think it's kind of funny that this was signed a little bit after Griffin. Like, right. They waited till Griffin got the 140 number for 9, and then they're like, well, we'll do 8 for 150. Yeah, like, I got to beat that one, but I'm not going to give up an extra year. But I think it's good on the Tigers for spending this money. Now you have to go out and you have to, compete the rest of the season and potentially, try and re-sign Skubal in the offseason. But, this was the type of money we were expecting Alex Bregman to get this offseason. I was claiming that they should get Alex Bregman. For the last 2 off seasons, I've been saying, you need an impact bat. Why don't you spend this money? Well, because you just basically got the guy who took that spot for him. So, good on the Tigers for spending some money here to Kevin McGonigle. I think he's going to be very good for a long, long time. And this deal might end up looking like a bargain at the back end of this deal for sure. So let's talk about the MLBPA here for a second, because we had Tony Clark get fired, or he resigned after an investigation. Was even with the FBI and stuff was involved in it. That's just never good. He ended up having an inappropriate workplace relationship with, I think it was like his brother's wife or something. Yeah, no, it was very, very weird. But given the internal investigation through the PA, they ended up also firing COO Xavier James and head of HR Michael O'Neill following that Tony Clark resignation in February. Former longtime pitcher Chris Capuano takes over as the COO for the MLBPA, and Ian Penny takes over as the human resources officer on an interim basis until they find someone who is more long-term for that. Now, I don't know if this is going to directly correlate to in-meeting negotiations. It's most likely going to be Bruce Meyer more than Chris Capuano. But Capuano, a longtime player, knows what these players want. He has a good relationship with them. Do you think this impacts the relationship part there at all?
Yeah, like, I think this actually, we kind of glossed over this back in February. It was kind of during our off season, but this is pretty heavily impactful to the upcoming CBA negotiations, because the owners are used to negotiating with Tony Clark. He's been doing it the last couple of CBAs, and this time it's not going to be Tony Clark. I genuinely don't know how that'll impact things. From everything we can gather thus far, right, I think sweeping changes are going to occur in the CBA. I think that's kind of a given. Some standing facets of baseball are going to get kind of uprooted and overturned a little bit, especially when it comes to the financial side of things, where you're going to look at potentially the years of control players have. You're going to look at the qualifying offer system. You're going to look at a lot of these things. If the players have a good coalescence around the head of the CPA, the MLBPA around Chris Capuano, right? If he, as a former player, he's a guy that knows the ins and outs of playing Major League Baseball, and if he's able to relate those things as requests to the owners, like it could really work. Having a player in a position like that, or a former player in a position like that. I mean, Tony Clark's 30 years away from his tenure as a player, right? So Capuano, I mean, we watched Capuano play as kids, so it's like that's a lot closer to the modern day. I think there's some certain potential there that the modern baseball player at least is going to have a little more connection to that. But again, it's all about that relationship with the owners in these meetings. That's what the biggest deal is going to be when it comes to negotiating these upcoming like changes to the systems.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, obviously, most of the negotiations are going to go through Bruce Meyer now. Capuano will kind of be I don't know, a back man, but he'll be not the first option. Obviously, is there. Meyer is known to be more of a hothead when it comes to negotiations. One that's like basically they're going to take our deal, or they're going to leave it. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But if you do have someone who is a more, Capuano has always been kind of more of a calm, cool guy back. Even when he was a player, if he's able to go into those meetings that way, we'll talk obviously a lot about the lockout and CBA when it comes up, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be like this is going to be a very pro owners deal. I feel like they're going to try and hold the salary cap out for so long to the players. The players are going to decline it. And then the owners are going to say, okay, well, if you're not giving us a salary cap, then we want this, and this. Basically, and it's going to be very pro owner here. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially if you have, or I think it's going to be interesting to see. But now that you have a player who's more recently, played rather than Tony Clark, who is so far out, see maybe how they take that into the negotiations there. So it'll be something to watch for sure. And there might even be more shakeup as we get closer to it. All right, let's talk about the Padres now. And longtime owner Peter Seidler passed away a couple years ago. It was 2.5 years ago or so. He was very, very impactful for that organization. He loved everything about it. He spent basically everything he could at the time to try and make them competitive. Then when he passed away, you had a infighting battle between his brothers and his wife. For it, and the brothers ended up getting control of the family, of the team. The wife didn't want them to because she said they're just going to look to sell it. They do not want to carry on Peter's vision of what this team was. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. Here we are 2.5 years later, and they are selling the team for a valuation of $3.9 billion, which I think at the moment is the biggest sale in MLB.
It is.
I think that's the biggest number. Obviously not the most valuable, but it's the biggest sale. They are being sold to Jose E. Feliciano and his wife. Feliciano is a managing partner of Clearlake Capital private equity firm. He is also co-owner of Chelsea FC with current Dodgers owner Mark Walter. So he definitely knows the ins and outs of what the business is expected to look like, given that he has such a close relationship with Mark Walter at the time. So it seems like he's going to be someone that's willing to come in and spend some money for this team. I think this is a great thing for Padres fans. You've been very strapped over the last couple of years money-wise. If you've read any of the reports or stayed in it at all, they were being very frugal in their free agency pursuits. There was even a time where it looked like AJ Preller might leave due to some of the infighting that was going on and being restricted on stuff. So I think this is a great deal for Padres fans. David, what you say?
Yeah, no, this is good. You want these owners to come in who spend money. Obviously, Feliciano has a ton of money. Being a soccer owner, right? Those payrolls get up way higher than the Major League Baseball payrolls right now. So it's like, this is a group that if they want to bring a World Series to San Diego, right? They're going to be able to absorb the current cost of the contracts. Matt likes to talk about how the Padres are older, right? And they're all 33, right? And it's like I'm like 32. Like it's like they're not that old. Come on now. But Manny Machado, right? Xander Bogaerts, Tatis, like they have a bunch of kind of bloated contracts. You use the one who's maybe a little bit older, but it's like this group should be able to absorb those deals and sign new ones. right, to get AJ Preller going back. And if you guys watched it, there's a bit of video out by Foolish Baseball on the history of AJ Preller. It's rather remarkable. It's definitely worth the watch. I think Preller's a really great baseball mind, but he's also a little too willing to make the deal for the sake of making the deal as opposed to going for the player. And obviously, right, you look at the Mason Miller deal, it's working out great. They don't all work like that, right? So for AJ Preller's, cash, he needs to be able to also make the signings as well as make the trades that maybe the trades a little bit prevent him from kind of going nuclear on the roster, right? Having those contracts kind of locked down at those positions kind of keeps those players in the roster. Because if they were immovable, he'd ship them off as soon as he didn't like something. So, I like where the Padres are, having an ownership that's that goes for it. I mean, that's how we got the 2020 to 2024 like Padres, right? That were the Slam Diego and the very high energy group. That's how we got there. Was Peter Seidler giving the money to AJ Preller, who made the deals to go out and get those players. That group made it happen. So I sit here and go, if this ownership group gives AJ Preller the keys, I think he can create a winning team, right? He's done it before. They almost got to the World Series. Obviously it's a team right now needs some touch-ups. It needs some touch-ups. It needs a little help. Yeah. But did we ever get an update on Nick Pivetta? Like, I guess that's one we don't have down here, and we're talking about the Padres now. So
I think that what I saw was that they aren't recommending surgery at the time, so it's still probably most likely close to months rather than weeks, but potentially back by the second half of the year, maybe close to August or so.
It's not like Preller has a ton of prospect capital to work with. He's got a couple high school pitchers and Ethan Salas, if anybody actually wants to take him on, basically. So I don't know how much he can do at this deadline, right?
But the thing is, he doesn't even need much. He found Ramon Laureano and Gavin Sheets and Ryan O'Hearn last year. Right, I say found, but he got those guys who were not very expensive and they helped out very well, and they were signed, or they got back two of those guys, right? So,
I guess my problem is going forward, they're going to need starting pitching specifically, and starting pitching costs at the deadline last year was absurd.
Yeah,
so that concerns me, especially with regards to this season. But if this ownership sale gets pushed through by the time the lockout ends next season, basically. We start signing. I think the Padres will be a very strong destination for free agents.
I think this deal is going to go through relatively fast. Right. I think it's through by All-Star break.
They want it to, and I think that the San Diego Padres baseball group wants it to, because they want to be positioned to talk to Tarek Skubal with a billionaire owner who's looking to win and make a splash in his new group. It makes the Padres a very competitive free agent destination. And that's not something we've always been able to say, except for Manny Machado, right? He was the big fish. And then with Peter Seidler, they also went out and got Xander Bogaerts, right? So they can get back to that very quickly with a little bit of that ownership spending that we talked about.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, let's move to week in review. Some of the big stories that have had happen, but these are more quicker topics that we just want to kind of hit on, except one of them. We might spend a little bit of time on that. And it's a shame that Matt's not here for that one. But
I know.
Let's start with Kenley Jansen moving into third all-time in saves behind only Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman. Likelihood he will not catch those two. They are far and away still there. But still, him moving into third all-time is still a pretty big deal. Obviously, as a Dodger fan, I've seen elite Kenley Jansen for a long, long time. You will not get out of my head that he should be a Hall of Famer. I still believe that.
Oh, he should be.
But some people are going to say his postseason stuff numbers aren't the best. But Kenley is, when he's elite, man, when he's on, he's elite.
Kenley Jansen is a Hall of Famer for sure. And we let in Billy Wagner last year. I think you look at the 2010s trio of Kenley Jansen, Aroldis Chapman, Craig Kimbrell. I think you have to put all three of those guys in there. We talk about how Hall of Fame.
One might not.
When you talk about how the story of baseball is told, you talk about the 2010s, you talk about the elite relievers in the pitching renaissance you have, right? You have the starters, right? You have Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer. I put King Felix right there, and that's another conversation. But then when you talk about the relievers, you have Kenley, Kimbrel, Chapman in the 2010s, right? Yeah. And those guys dominated. They're up there in the top 10 in saves. And with the renaissance of relievers having kind of come to a close, and right now it's more of a flexible role, and guys aren't getting saves as much. They're being asked to do more multiple innings. You're being asked to pitch when the good hitters are hitting, right? It's like the 8th inning. It would be a hold, right? If the good hitters are hitting and you're up by 3, but so those are the types of things that are not going to allow other guys to get to this level of saves. So Kenley Jansen might be kind of the last great closer of our lifetimes is kind of my theory on this, right? And you've got Chapman, you've got Kimbrel, those guys are up there, but they're in the top 10. Kenley is number 3. Yeah. And he's still going. He's going to keep, buffering that number. And you look at like a Mason Miller right now, he's great. He has to do this for like 15 years to get close to this level. Like it's awesome that we're getting to see like greatness, like these all-time players. They're kind of coming to the twilights of their careers. Scherzer, Verlander, and all these guys. And Kenley Jansen's right there with them in my book because he was, he came in locked down. The first World Series for the Dodgers, in that era, 2020, I think.
He didn't close that one out.
That's right, he didn't. It was Bueller, wasn't it?
Nope.
That was the second
24.
one.
It was
Julio Urias. That's who it was. Yeah, I was like, it's a pitcher who's not there anymore. But he won a World Series with the Dodgers. You talk about the playoff stats. I think we do a lot of weight on those. But with the reliever designation, you have to be great to get to the Hall of Fame. He is great.
Yeah, the thing is overall postseason numbers look great, but people will just use like certain seasons, like the 2020 season when they won. He had a 5.14 ERA in the postseason in that 7 innings. But it's like, well, he did have a 2.20 career postseason ERA right now. So like, what are we doing? He has 20 career saves in the postseason. Like, what are we doing? So it's still very fun to see him going. I know his big goal has been 500 career saves. He's at 481. So he'll probably have to get through next season. Most likely, there is a club option on that deal to get back to the Tigers. So we'll see I don't know if he'll get there this year. He'll need 19 more saves.
19 more. I think he'll get there this season. He's in it. He's there. He's on a good team in a good role.
It'll be close.
He just needs to pitch well. That's the bottom line, right? If he pitches well, he'll get there with ease. And if he doesn't pitch well, it's going to be a journey.
He's pitched well so far, so
he's been extremely good so far.
Yeah. So let's go through some of the other ones real quick, and then we'll get back to our next one. Sam Antonacci got called up by the White Sox right after Noah Schultz got called up this last week. This is a move we kind of expected to happen. There were some rumors about it. I have not seen how he did very much. Let me look that up real quick. And this is what you get when we go live here. You can get to see the process behind it all. He hasn't done great so far, but it's your first taste in Major League Baseball. I think he'll be just fine overall. Big talking point we had last week was Jorge Soler. His suspension was reduced down to 4 games. I think he's done serving that now, or it's pretty close to being there. Yeah. Anyways, that was a big talking point last week. We wanted to give finality to that story and our big talking points from there.
I like that it was reduced. I'm glad for that. I think 4 was maybe 1 too many, maybe because the way Reynaldo Lopez got 1 start. He didn't even get a start missed. Yeah. So you had like 1 extra day basically for Lopez versus Soler getting 4. I probably would have seen 3, but it's fine. You have to punish him like we talked about, and that's enough, I suppose. He should be back, and it wasn't even the worst news of the week for the Angels.
Yeah, and let's talk about that right here. The Angels on Friday, we just randomly got news that Angels legend Gary, who's the other outfielder? The Gary Matthews.
Yeah.
I get those two always confused. Garrett Anderson passed away at the age of 53. Spent 15 seasons with the Angels. He's their franchise leader in games, at-bats, hits, total bases, extra base hits, doubles, RBIs. He bounced around a little bit at the end of his career. 1 year with the Braves and then 1 year with the Dodgers there to finish his career. But Garrett Anderson was a SoCal legend, basically. Grew up there, was born in LA, stayed there his entire life. This one was a real gut punch because he's one of those one of my not first memories, but one of them is I remember Garrett Anderson as an Angel. That's kind of those, or as a Dodger. That cool little pull, but his long time with the Angels. This one really sucks. He was a World Series champion with them in 2002, home run derby champ. He's just an all-around great guy and a really underrated player given the time period for the Angels.
Right. I mean, he was on that awesome 2002 Angels team that won the World Series over the Giants. Awesome player, right? Grew up watching him. Definitely sad. Yeah, gone too soon type of guy, right? He's only in his 50s. Yeah. It stinks. It's heart attack, man. It sucks. And get your heart checked out once you get past 40, guys. It's important, and it stinks because he's the kind of guy that you could, there's always people at Cubs Con and stuff, like former Cubs legends and whatnot. Garrett Anderson's the kind of guy, had I grown up an Angels fan, right? That'd be one of my guys, So this just stinks.
Would have looked at him for a long time. So, rest in peace, Garrett Anderson. We hope that your family is doing well. Staying in LA, let's talk real quick about just a quick one. Freddie Freeman went to the paternity list. They are welcoming their fourth, fifth child through a surrogate. Ryan Ward got called up to the Dodgers in his absence. Ward, I think, led the minors in home runs last year. He had a really kind of insane year, was added to the 40-man over the offseason. Not looked great in spring training, but got the call here. Started yesterday. I think got 2 hits in his debut. So he'll be back probably by the end of this week, Freddie will, but I had to mention more for Ryan Ward getting called up after last season.
Oklahoma City's kind of crazy for home runs.
Yeah. All right, let's jump to injury news.
We're missing one, actually.
What are we missing?
We're missing the New York Mets.
Oh, I forgot. I put it up there, so I wanted to come back. And I didn't come back to it. The New York Mets are off to a awful, horrendously bad start. They were 7-4 at one point. Now they've lost 11 in a row. Yep. And there's just boneheaded decisions happening all the way around. Some of that is the players' fault. Some of that is Carlos Mendoza's fault. Maybe on David Stern's trying to get too smart with himself a little bit this offseason instead of pursuing what we thought they should be doing. But this is just a turmoil right now. There's so much turmoil here in the New York Mets organization. And if Matt was here, he would say, this is his tagline, but we're going to say it for him this time. LOL Mets.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because this corresponds perfectly to the Juan Soto injury, right? It's right around when this losing streak started. We talked about it at the time, said, look, this is actually pretty bad for the Mets because he's such an impactful player, but also because their depth in the outfield just isn't that strong. Right now, Tyrone Taylor's running out there every day. He's just not that good. And the lineup without Brandon Nimmo, which, funny enough, right, they traded him for Marcus Semien. Semien's been bad. Brandon Nimmo's been one of the best players in baseball. Got him out of New York. All of a sudden, he turned it on. He's been playing great for the Texas Rangers. It's one of those things where all of the decisions, right, all of the culmination has arrived at this boiling point of you've got these expectations, you've got this presence, this heft that it makes it so difficult to perform at optimal and relaxed level. You couple that with bad management. Carlos Mendoza this weekend against the Cubs had an absolute disaster class. And we talk about managers in baseball a decent amount and how they're not that impactful. They impact the game a little bit, but you go, Ian Happ's hitting third again. How could you do this to us, Craig Counsell? And it's it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But What matters is in the bottom of the 9th inning, with the Cubs having the game-winning run. Actually, it's the bottom of the 10th inning, game-winning run on third base and 1 out, and the best contact hitter in the game stepping up to the plate. You don't put that guy on first. That's a completely inexcusable mistake. I'm certainly saying thank you as a Cubs fan for pitching to Nico Hoerner. Why on earth would you do this in the first place? But again, it's a perfect microcosm of the problems with the Mets right now, because you cannot make that baseball decision. You have to go after the next guy. You cannot go after Nico Hoerner. He's leading the league in WAR right now too. Like, not only is he a great contact bat, he's one of the best hitters in the league right now. And it's like, you cannot do this. That's terrible management. And to see, I haven't seen Carlos Mendoza get fired yet, but like that's a fireable offense in my book. That you can't be doing that, because that is directly costing your team games, and that's the manager's one job, right? Don't cost the team games. Like, try to gain a game here and there by good decisions.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Mendoza get fired right now. I think this is they're going to ride it out through the year and see what happens, and then potentially decide at that point. There's obviously a bunch of turmoil going on right now, but I think that would probably negatively impact the way that the Mets are seen if Steve Cohen does it at this point. He would get looked at as too impulsive, and it would maybe hurt his chances coming soon with, if he's looking for a new manager or whatever. People are also calling for David Stearns to be fired. I'm like, you're probably not going to do that either. He was one of the most sought after people at the moment.
Right.
You just can't do that this soon in. Like, you got to give him a few years to implement his plan into the team. But I mean, there was rumors about Mendoza this last year. If things don't turn around, I could see it, later in the season, looking August or so, and then, or maybe in the off season. I just think at this moment it's going to be looked at maybe too impulsive,
too early. Yes, but this is a team that has playoff aspirations, and to go into a 7-15 hole.
But they are a flawed team. Like,
sure.
They are a flawed team. Like you said, the manager's not going to. Carlos Mendoza is not the reason they've lost 11 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, at a certain point, it still comes to the players on the field, right? They have talent. That's not the problem. They're just not getting things done at the moment. Maybe you need a new voice at some point. I just don't feel like that's right this second.
Sure.
But there's obviously something. They have to find something. And that's not just get Juan Soto back. Like, that obviously helps, but you got to figure out what else is going on in that locker room and why they're not producing. So we'll see. But knowing the Mets history, they won't figure it out.
No.
All right, let's talk about injuries now. We did talk about Christian Yelich last week. We wanted to give an update on that timeline. It is a hamstring injury. Mid to late May return is what the outlook looks like for him. So he's been looked really good the past couple years, got back to prime Yelich form. It sucks to see. David, I know you, as a Cubs fan in the division, it doesn't hurt you as much, but it is Christian Yelich after all, and you hate seeing that guy go down because he's probably one of the most underrated players of our generation.
You're not underrated. I hate that.
I
hate that guy. I hate that guy because he's good as heck, and it pisses me off. Right? That's why I hate it. Yeah. Look, I want him to be hurt right up past whatever next game the Cubs have with the Brewers. All right, he can come right back right after that, because that guy torches Cubs pitching. Good player. Brewers fans hate to see it. I do not, but
you hate to see the injury.
The injury specifically. I just want Christian Yelich not playing baseball in my division as much as possible, because again, that's a compliment. He's good.
Yeah. Harrison Bader from the Giants went to the IL with a hamstring injury as well. He'd been playing center field every day for them, so it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward.
It should be
probably Lee, maybe,
Drew
but he'd been playing right field.
Drew Gilbert got called up. He's probably the one.
They could be doing Gilbert.
Well,
they could be doing some platoon there as well with Gilbert.
Yep,
and someone else. But
Elliot Ramos, Will Brennan. Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, doing something there. So, Daniel Palencia went to the IL with a left oblique strain for the Cubs. Oblique strains this year are just going crazy. We have 2 more of those to already talk about later, as we move forward here with injuries. But they're just one of those weird things that you don't know how long it could take. Again, we talked about it earlier when we talked about Mookie and some other people so far. You just don't know. And Palencia had been a lockdown closer for the Cubs. He really broke into that role last year, has looked good this year, was good in the WBC. Yep. You just hate to see things like this. Also, updates with the Cubs. Cade Horton ended up having full Tommy John surgery. It's a 15 to 16-month outlook there. So you're looking, and
that's
post All-Star break next year, most likely.
Yep.
So that's not great. Matt Boyd is expected back this week, so that's a little bit of good news and solace for Cubs fans, but obviously losing a back-end bullpen arm and, for what could be months, and then obviously a top-of-the-rotation arm for the season and most of next doesn't help.
Yeah, the Cade Horton thing stinks. Daniel Palencia thing stinks too. Good news is Caleb Thielbar locked down a game this weekend for the Cubs. Dude, he's been so good. I've had to eat so much crow on that one. I did not like that signing. He's been so awesome.
I was gonna say
happy that he got in there and is locked in to keep us going. And yeah, Matt Boyd coming back will be nice. Javier Assad's pitched pretty good, except for one game against the Phillies. So in Boyd's absence. So we'll see how they do. The depth is good, right? The Cubs have been able to buoy. They're above 500 again, right? All these injuries. There's a lot of injuries on this roster right now. They've been able to hang in there, right? Better than the Blue Jays, better than some of these other teams that have had the injury bugs. So you'll take that.
Let's stick with some version of Cubs news, at least, and that is Patrick Wisdom. After missing all of last year, playing baseball in Korea all of last year, came back, signed a minor league deal with the Mariners, finally got called up, and then in his first at-bat got an oblique strain and immediately went to the IL.
Yeah. I hate it for poor Patrick. He's awesome dude. Love watching that guy. Again, he's the kind of a the Mariners have had him in the right role, right? The emergency depth call up. Just a shame that he wasn't able to hit a couple of monster nukes before getting hurt.
Right. All right, so we got a couple more big-time closer injury news, and it's sad to say that both of these guys are Bakersfield Blaze fantasy team owner here.
We already did two Myrtle Beach Pelicans, Horton and Boyd. So yeah, it's going poorly.
It's not great, but Yohan Duran, all-star level closer for the Philadelphia Phillies, got an oblique strain. Shocking. I know you've never heard of an oblique strain. He is
a classic guy.
We don't know how long he's going to be out again, right? This one was like, it didn't even happen like on the mound. Like, I know he got a save, and then there was just like a little bit later, the next day or something, it was just like, oh, he hadn't really pitched. And then like he just didn't pitch for almost a week. And then they were like, oh, yep, he got hurt to the IL randomly. So that's going to be a big hit to the Phillies. I think right now they're expected to use Brad Keller or Jose Alvarado as like a duo closer role there. So I think they call up Seth Johnson, the former big-time prospect of the Orioles. We'll see what he ends up looking like. And then Edwin Diaz, he's been battling some sort of an elbow thing for the past week or so, a little bit over. Didn't pitch for basically an entire week. Came into the game yesterday in Colorado, did not look good again, gave up 3 runs, and then reported that he had elbow soreness again today. Ended up having some loose bodies in his elbow, so he's going for surgery on Wednesday. He's expected to be out about 3 months with elbow surgery. So in the meantime, you're going to see probably some version of Tanner Scott, Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan as the closer committee there in LA, but obviously, big time deal from the offseason. Losing him for 3 months hurts.
It hurts, but it's the Dodgers. Like I think I told you before, we were talking about Kyle Tucker and some of those free agent deals. It's like if there's a roster that can sponge it, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? You pay the big deal. Sure. If Edwin Diaz is healthy in October, that's all that really matters.
That's all that matters
when it comes to a deal like this, right? Yeah. So He'll be healthy. Dodgers bullpen will be. It might even be not great, and it'll still be fine.
Yeah, so. I mean they dealt with this last year, right? They signed Tanner Scott to be the closer, and he had like a 4-something ERA for being closer most of the season, and then it just when they got to October, it didn't matter. So, it still hurts. You don't want to see it, but if there's a team that can withstand it, it is the Dodgers. I think mostly that's all the stuff we wanted to do on. Real quick, let's try and see if we can think of a player of the week. Let's pull some of that up. Since we're still not doing the polls at the moment, but we
for what it's worth, and it made me feel way better. Jeff Gluck does the NASCAR Good Race polls. He's down 20,000 votes on his polls.
Yeah, from
prior to like 2 weeks ago. So if Twitter gets that back and I start seeing like the right numbers on the Gluck Good Race polls, I'll bring them back. But yeah, temporarily we're down at the behest of technology.
Yeah. Actually, we didn't even talk about it, but we really should have actually. So let's make him player of the week, and then that allows us to talk about it. Parker Messick threw almost a no-hitter. He almost threw a no-hitter. I think it was first batter of the ninth is when he gave it up. But he's been a story so far this year. Been really good. He's shut down the Dodgers. I think he went and shut down the Braves.
He shut down the Cubs.
He's shut down all of us. And then who did he throw that game against? Trying to remember. Let me
the Angels
log. No, it was the Orioles.
Yep.
It was the Orioles. So he's had really good starts basically against all of them. So I think we need to talk about him a little bit. So let's give him player of the week.
My only real counter to him was going to be Munetaka Murakami
or Mike Trout. I guess Mike Trout did hit 4 or 5 homers this week.
Mike Trout hit 5 homers this week. Murakami hit 4. But it's super cool that Murakami has been able to get in here and pretty handily shove aside the concerns that he wouldn't hit enough. Because we always said he had power, but it was kind of a question of whether he had enough power to overcome the swing and miss. 33% strikeout rate right now, 21% walk rate, and 8 homers.
That's crazy.
150 WRC plus thus far. Like it's early. He's almost certainly going to have a batting average that starts with a 1. But like that's if he hit 45 homers en route to a good season, like I don't think I care.
If he just pulled a Joey Gallo.
It's kind of what he's looking like. And it's funny because it's kind of what we talked about, but the walk rate is so high and the homer rate has been so good thus far. So as long as that keeps up,
I mean, if he pulled
it could be pretty good.
If he pulled a 2021 Joey Gallo, hit 199 with a 123 WRC plus 38 homers, he put up 4.4 WAR that year.
Yeah, Joey Gallo is obviously a much stronger
defender. But I'm saying struck out 35% of the time, walked 18%, 351 on base.
That's doable.
Yeah,
for what Murakami is showing right now, that's extremely doable.
Yeah.
So him and Trout. I mean, we talk about Trout all the time. We already gave him a player of the week.
As we should. Give him another.
We should have. But
give him another.
So I'm good with Parker Messick. Again, Murakami was my only counter to that.
Yeah, I think either one of those are good, but I think Messick almost getting that no-hitter, and we hadn't talked about him. We needed to talk about him
he's
here.
He's nasty. He only throws 92, 93, but he has so many off-speed pitches that it really plays up the 93 because you can be throwing – he can be throwing any of the off-speed. Yeah, any of the off-speed anytime.
Yeah, funky lefty for sure.
That plays extremely well. So good pick.
All right, Parker Messick is our player of the week this week. So I think that's going to wrap it up. If you guys missed it, we did a Jackie Robinson episode last week on the midweek video, so go check that out. This week, I think we are doing a stat pad game. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. So if you enjoy some of that thinking knowledge stuff and having to fit under some guidelines as you try and do that, be sure to tune into our midweek video of the stat pad game. But in the meantime, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think, and we will catch you guys back on the next one.